We have to work in value chains. There have been a paradigm shift. We don't talk about subsistence producers anymore. We talk about smallholder businesses. I think it was Lauren who said some are successful and some are not so successful. And we work in value chains. So there are lots of things we know we have to do, but Kanaya warned us that as we engage in these things, we should not only focus where we feel more comfortable, and that is dealing with technology development, ecology, and things that we know well. But we must also focus on the social conditions in which the people who we hope to use these technologies operate. And there, we do not know how to do that very well. And I dare say that notwithstanding all the things we say about women participation in agriculture and so on, we do not know how to do that very well. We're hardly able to go beyond gender disaggregated data and so on. We do not know how to respond to scale-neutral, woman-friendly technology. We deliberately deliberated on the issue of, if livestock is so important, why is it getting so little traction? So limited investments from the public sector of the developing countries themselves, notwithstanding all the things we say livestock is important for, and very little investments from the ODA. And I think Simeon gave us the answer. I felt very comfortable with that. I think the same way. We do not talk the language which others know. We talk to ourselves. We do not know how much employment would be generated. We do not know how much foreign exchange it would be saved over time. And we do not know very well how livestock would influence rural transformation and so on. And we do not speak in those terms. We have to get better at doing that. So those are the known knowns and some of the known unknowns. I have to say that when we got to the point about what would it look like 40 years from now, we struggled. That was my impression. And as I thought about that, I wondered many things, but it is probably because it is hard to remember what happened 40 years ago. Can we really remember what happened in 1974, apart from the very important thing that ILCA and ILRAD were created? Can we remember what happened in 1974? And it's hard to reflect and remember that. So it's hard to look forward to say how things would look in 40 years' time. And because there are so many unknowns, we have a hard time projecting. So I took a lot of liberty as I sat and scribbled some notes. What would the livestock sector look like in 40 years' time? Per capita consumption in Africa would be about 30 kilograms. It's now about 10. It would rise in Asia to about 70 kilograms per person. Smallholder farmers, the number of smallholder farmers, very numerous now, would decline to about a third of what the population is now. The 37 billion livestock, 70% of which are in the developing world, or 26 billion livestock, mostly poultry, would be declining numbers, significantly declining numbers, even though supply of livestock products will increase tremendously. Africa would become a major exporter of beef and poultry. Henin would say I'm crazy. Where's Henin? Is he still there? Henin would say I'm crazy. India would be talked of in terms of dairy production as we used to talk about the Netherlands and Denmark and the United States. India would become a major milk supplier, and it would be mostly from buffaloes. And buffaloes would become the #1 milk animal in the world. How would this all happen? Well, the competitiveness of the developing world will change very significantly because of the rapid possibilities for genetic improvement, for example. We can significantly improve the performance of tropical breeds based on genetic technologies that we can apply now. So tropical breeds which are highly adapted but low producing will also become high producing, highly adapted tropical animals. We will shift from a risk-based, from a hazard-based approach to trade in livestock products to a risk-based approach. It's not whether the country has a hazard or not, it's whether the product has a risk. And this would create an enormous opportunities for the developing world because the barriers to trade would significantly decline. The competitiveness of the developing world will also be conferred by different means of pricing livestock products. There will be a higher, much greater inclusion of environmental factors into the price of most products in 40 years' time, and so it will be in livestock products. This adding the cost to the product that is now passed on, what we call externalities, will of course change the prices of products very significantly, and so it would in the livestock sense. So rapid genetic improvement, changes in trade and policies with respect to food safety, changes in prices with respect to environmental conditions, and rapid market differentiation because such things as the environment, organic, and social parameters will become far more important in the livestock sector, and therefore the prices for them. We debate a lot what would happen with pastoral systems. I think pastoral systems would thrive. Pastoral systems in 40 years' time will not only be producers of meat, but they would be major custodians of the environment, and much of their returns will be payment for environmental services. So I see rapid transformation of 40 years' time. If I were to figure out what are the known unknowns, that would give the developing world a very significant competitive edge. The issue of feed, for example, in Africa will not be as great because we're not going to be feeding monogastrics on maize in 40 years' time. Because of the environmental cost and because of the comparative advantage in Africa, we would be feeding livestock probably more on sorghum, millet, and feeds that are common in Africa, such as cassava and so on. So it'd be major feed transformation. So that's what I see. In 40 years' time, though, would there be ILRI? Somebody said we will be extinct. No, I don't think so. Because by then, well, for example, there are more questions than answers. We know now, and some of the questions we don't even know we need to answer. But I believe ILRI, because there are more questions than answers, and because ILRI will answer those questions which it attempts by providing the right answers, will become an even more important place to go to get some of the answers. So more questions than answers. We wouldn't have all the answers, but those we attempt, we will provide the right answer. Thank you, Mark.